I've been getting a number of emails about this topic today, so I've decided to do a sole video so it doesn't get mixed up in any other stuff, okay? So incidentally, before we crack on, there is an email address below this video right now if you need to email me so I can get more information out to as many people as possible, making lots of people aware of what's actually going on here in the UK regarding the migrant situation in accommodation in the UK. This is from some guy called Darren. There's no location where Darren is emailing from. He goes on to say that there's a place called Madeley Court Hotel in a place called Telford. Now this is a 16th century manor house. Very exclusive, very expensive to book. It goes on to say that he reckons there's 124 plus migrants now embedded in that hotel, which is now closed to the general public. So you and I, whatever, we can't go there. It's all private, like we've mentioned in numerous videos about this topic. Apparently they've been arriving since August last year, okay? Mostly from Afghanistan, which are unvetted personnel, okay? So that poses serious risks, and some people have been speculating that these could possibly have embedded members of ISIS and Taliban within that group of number in that particular hotel. So I do know that there's lots of veterans who watch this YouTube channel, and many of them have served in Afghanistan in recent years. So that is going to be a serious problem for those guys to take in, that this is actually happening on our shores right now. We go on to the next email from Phil. Again, no location. Norwich, Holiday Inn next door to Asda on Drayton High Road, with full use and access to a David Lloyd gym. Now we all know how expensive David Lloyd gyms are. All of this is one big facility and is now pretty much exactly the same. Private ownership, solely used for migrants. All men between 20 and 40 years old. No women, no children, okay? So listen to this. Nighttime, Asda and Lidl have lots and lots of migrants walking around inside there, literally really upsetting the local population who wants to go there of a nighttime after work, etc. Seriously bad news, and there is reports of them harassing women and girls as well. Now we're going to go on to a bit about that further on in this video, so stay tuned. You don't want to miss the end, okay? And I'm going to put a link below this video outlining some of this information which tallies with what Phil's been saying, okay? Personally, he said he will not let his wife out of a night time in the local area. That's how bad the situation is actually getting. So we go on to, they don't want to have their name known, so you just put Plant Mad as a username, okay? So 4 Afghan boys, allegedly boys, young men, okay, 16-year-olds, etc., have been arrested with rape allegations of a 15-year-old girl in Dover, right down in Kent. So as we know, Kent and Dover is literally a massive hotspot for migration influx, and there's big problems down there. So if any of you guys are watching from down in Kent, can you please email in and let me know what you're seeing with your own eyes. It's very important that we share this information, okay? But these guys who have been arrested, they've been released on bail. Wow. So basically what was being said in this article, and I'm going to put the link to that article if you want to read further into that. There's a 16-year-old, 13 and a 15-year-old, I believe. They pinned down this girl and done what they done, which is disgusting, absolutely disgusting. And the others remained as lookouts, okay? So like I said, I've been having various emails in the past talking about this, but I've remained silent about it. But now I think it's the time that this information actually needs to go out there to let everyone know what is actually going on. And it's absolutely scary when you actually think about it, okay? It really is. Now also we had reports of last Friday a police van and car was set on fire outside Sweets Hotel in a place called Knowsley, okay? So Merseyside police were on the scene. 14 people were arrested, and we're going to touch on that at the end of this video, so you need to stay tuned about that, okay? That's some really serious stuff there. This email is from Jeff, again, no location. Jeff met someone who rents a property out privately. He was about to agree to move in an elderly couple, but the local doctor said there is no room to house new patients as the local GP surgery is literally being overrun, mostly with migrants, okay? It all has a knock-on effect on our communities. It really, really does. And the local council absolutely tried to block the tenancy agreement of this elderly couple, which were on the verge of moving into that property. Then, guess what? The landlord was notified or contacted by government. So as this email says, we don't actually know what member of the government who is involved in this, but basically they was offering way over the asking price to rent this property, and even pretty much agreed to fully furnish, brand new, and decorate that property to hold some migrants. So how creepy is that? Because we've already been looking into, the hotels are getting really full with the migrants. We've got retired MOD sites which are being used as well. All sorts of holiday parks. And now it does look like they're actually going into local urban areas and contacting private landlords, which we're going to touch on in a sec. This is from someone called Mike over in Liverpool. Here we go. Private landlords are being approached and asked to evict tenants and replace them with migrants as the hotels are mostly full of them. The local community, in quote, have had a gutful of it. Wow. So like we said earlier, now we're coming to the nitty gritty, right? The mainstream media, okay, they are using keywords as they always do. Now, words are very powerful things if you fully understand how they work. And the words that they're using, anything to do with anti-migration, okay? They're using the terms far right, so it's a divide and conquer thing, obviously. Anti-refugee, conspiracy theorists, violent yobs, and racists. So all of these terms are being used widespread across the board by the mainstream media. Okay. Observations from what I've seen in videos which have been sent to me to review. Okay. Now, the Liverpool protest, gangs arrived in black clothing or brand new clothing and brand new black day sacks. Okay. Also, the police who attended to dispel that disturbance which was going on outside that hotel in Knowsley, okay? All of the police had brand new, clean kit and equipment and clothing, okay? And it's really weird because it brought back memories of, I think it was 2020 and 2021, what was going on in America, and indeed in some parts of the UK, like London, I think Manchester had some pockets of resistance, should we call it, as well. So it really does look like it's set up and staged for a mainstream media campaign, okay? So when we look at what was happening with Antifa and the Black Lives Matter movement and all the rest of it, they are all funded, like most of us know, and it does come back to the age-old stuff which was happening in the 80s, rent a mob, okay? So you have a peaceful protest, and everything seems fine. People go there to sort of put their views and to share what they're known to members of the public who are passing by, trying to raise awareness of how important and serious this situation actually is and is rapidly becoming. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share a video just after I've finished, and I want you guys to watch it, okay? Whether you agree with this guy or disagree with this guy, I please urge you to listen to everything that the guy is saying and leave a comment under the video letting me know what your thoughts are about this growing, scary situation. And before I sign off, don't forget the email address is below this video. Please feel free to email me about anything you are noticing about the topic on this video. Now, you guys stay safe. Thanks very much for watching and stay funky.
The pressure cooker has been building for months and months all over the country. Nearly 450 hotels fully taken up by young males that have crossed the English Channel. We don't quite know where they come from. Many, of course, come from Albania. Most of them have absconded already and joined criminal gangs. As for the rest, tough to know who they really are because they've mostly chucked their passports into the English Channel. But what is for certain is there is great unease in many local communities, and this finally boiled over in Knowsley, Merseyside. Last Friday night, a community protest was organised. A video had appeared of a 15-year-old girl being approached by a migrant on the street. But, and I've spoken to people that live in Knowsley, this has been going on for months, growing concern amongst parents. And let's just remember what happened in Sweden. Now, Sweden took in a ridiculous number of people who crossed the Mediterranean. Up to 20% of the population of Sweden have come into the country since 2015. We've seen a massive increase in attacks, particularly on women, let alone the gun crime, the violence that is going on in Stockholm now every single day. So people are worried, and they have a right to be worried about their kids and about their community. Knowsley, well, Liverpool, has probably been the most tolerant place for refugees and migrants for centuries. And far from being a hotbed of right-wingers, it's the most left-wing city in the whole of the country. What happened? They announced the protest. Care for Calais, Claire Mosley turned up with about 100 people, and then some yobs dressed in black outfits with backpacks and sledgehammers smashed in a police van. Those yobs had nothing to do with that local community whatsoever. I don't know who they were. They frankly looked to me like Antifa. But this has been used over the course of the last few days by virtually everybody to say it was a far-right demonstration and these are very bad people. The local MP, Sir George Howarth, said the protesters were not representative of the constituency. How wrong can you be? They were holy. They were mums, dads, aunts, uncles, grandparents, kids. That's who was there raising their voice of concern. So they've all been labelled as being far-right. And, Lisa Nandy from the Labour Party, various Conservative politicians like Andrew Mitchell condemning the protest. Well, it's gone a stage further than that. We learnt this morning that in Newquay, residents are planning a protest this Saturday. Already, the Conservative leader of Cornwall Council has condemned what they're doing as racist. The Labour Party have joined in as well. And now, a collection of various refugee charities have got together today. They claim they represent up to 500 groups around the country, calling on government to condemn protests against those that cross the English Channel, filling up our hotels. I'll tell you what's going on here. They are trying to suppress any comment, any criticism of what is going on a massive scale around our communities. The sheer unfairness of all of it. I actually had a pensioner write to me the other day and say, I fancy going on a boat in the English Channel. At least then if I get put in a hotel, I won't have heating bills that I simply can't afford. The unfairness of it all, the not knowing who people are, the concerns about community security, about national security, these are all too real. So the question is, are we going to bow down to these people? And what a joke it is. I mean, the Refugee Council, who are one of those groups saying it must be condemned, they're actually funded by tens of millions of pounds from government, from taxpayers' money. So your money is being used to tell you not to raise your voice and not to protest. And the idea that what happened in Knowsley was threatening towards the migrants is ridiculous. They were standing outside the hotel, as they will be in Newquay on Saturday. This is a wholesale, widespread attempt to suppress free speech and open debate in this country. It is an attempt to tell parents that they cannot stand up for the rights of their kids. They cannot be concerned about what's happening in their society. They should brush under the carpet the rape of a schoolgirl in Dover, where 4 young men who crossed the English Channel were arrested last week. We are not supposed to discuss any of this. We are supposed to say nothing. Well, I tell you what, even if nobody else will do it, I'm going to go on doing it. I'm going to go on raising my voice, because I promise you, if you think this problem is bad now, it's going to get a lot worse. We must not allow these people to silence us.